this past weekend. I'll get that video firing up. All right. I don't always play the music, but sometimes I do. Good day, guys. You celebrating it? What you thinking about, the goodness or the badness today? Death out there, boy. You gotta have fun, man. You gotta get keyed into the good parts, you know? You gotta get keyed into the good parts, man. I remember when I was growing up, they had a cemetery. And a cemetery is where they keep the dead. You know, it's where it's basically one of God's filing cabinets, you know. It's where they keep the dead. And a lot of times they had these dudes that would bury people, you know, put them in the dirt. And some of the people were people that they didn't even have funerals for. So we'd go over by the fence and we'd watch them do the burials, you know. I mean, it's almost like just feeding mother, just like, it was almost like the earth ate dead bodies. And these men were the spoon feeders, you know, these mortuary guys, these burial guys. You ever see the thing where like somebody like plays with a baby, they put the food on the, you know, they put them fancy peaches on the spoon and they do the airplane, you know? That's almost like what these guys were, the burial guys, where they would, you know, they wouldn't do the airplane sound with the body and then drop it into the hole, but they would, you know, they were the guys that were bringing the food to the mouth, you know, and the food was the body and the mouth was Mother Nature, Earth, you know, and they get that orifice open, they dig the dirt out, make a hole, put the body in there. But we go over there and watch them by the fence, me and my buddy Danny, and he had a bad neck on him. He was very light in the neck. I don't know if he had spine in him or if he was just more, what is it called? Just cartilage. He was thick and heavy on cartilage, you know? And and anyway, we watched him put the ground in, put the body in the thing, the casket. And sometimes they'd take a break. They'd take a break and go for a walk, go do something else, you know, have to cut grass or something, you know. And so we'd stand by that fence and they had a bunch of, they had these crab apples. And they looked like apples, but they were hard. So you would get them, and if you cooked them down, you could eat them. But if you didn't cook them, you could just kind of, if they were really ripe, you could kind of get one bite. And it was not very good. It was not very good snack. But you get one bite. And we'd try to throw these crab apples into the open grave, if they had an open grave. So sometimes I feel a little bit bad about that, I guess, looking back on my own life. You know, I'm out there humming apples in the grave sites, you know. So just kind of, I don't know if that's bad or good. I don't know. You know, I don't think there's any scripture out there or anything like that that says you can't, you know, send somebody up to heaven with a couple of apples in their pockets. But we used to, me and Limp Danny used to throw them in there, throw apples in the grave sites. Anyway, I don't know why I got already off on a tangent. Happy week. It is Monday, August 7th, and you're listening to This Past Weekend. I'm Theo Vaughn. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being alive. You know, you got to be alive to listen. That's the thing. As far as we know. I hope that's the case, because when I die, you can shut the audio down, cat. Okay? You could empty out my ear holes. I don't need any other sound. I just want to feel the joy. That's all I want to do, man. I just want to be in just that eternal bubble bath, you know? With your loved ones just kind of floating by, you know? Maybe smoking cigarettes or, you know, having them a little bit of a snack, maybe a dessert. But I don't want to be listening to everything. I just want to be able to look somebody in the eyes when I see them in the afterlife and they'll know that I love them and I'll know that they love me. That's what I want. I don't need to hear all of this. You know, I feel like sometimes we'd be so much better off if we didn't have all this sound coming out of us. But then here I am, you know, yelling into an empty room here, Trying to fill up your side holes by your brain. Your little audio bat caves. So, but good to be here with you guys. Happy August. Almost winter. Do you realize that? It's almost winter. And you're probably going to be growing a beard. And that's why I've got to say that Dollar Shave Club is the smarter choice. That's right. I'm hitting you guys with an ad here. Dollar Shave Club is the smarter choice. Some people have beards, You ever seen somebody with a beard? Sometimes bald people grow a beard. Oh, they can't grow it on the top. They're going to grow it out the bottom, just to show that they still got that power, that hair power. But Dollar Shave Club, man, they got that new executive razor, and that thing, it's like rubbing kind of a strong baby's ass across your face. That thing it's quality. I got it. I've been using it. I really have in the shower. I shave in the shower. I shave in the shower probably like a woman. I think a lot of women do that. So I have that in me. I was raised by a single mother, so maybe that's where I caught that. But when I use my Dollar Shave Club executive razor with that Dr. Carver's shave butter, and it's just for shaving, you can't put it on bread. And it makes me feel good. I feel a smooth shave, I feel like I got two babies' ass cheeks on the side of my face, one on each side, not two on one side. I feel good. And for a limited time, new members get their first month all of the executive razor with a tube of that Dr. Carver's shave butter. That's that urban quality face care right there for only $5 with free shipping. You can get this offer exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/weekend. WEEKEND. That's dollarshaveclub.com/weekend. All right, let's get into what I was up to this weekend, man. First of all, I want to say that it's almost winter. I saw a woman this weekend saying she was cold. So you're going to start seeing that. I'm cold. You're going to start seeing that. And I remember they had a lot of people get violent snowstorms, which is amazing. Snowstorms are usually, you never hear, oh, we got this comfortable, beautiful snowstorm. You always hear, we got this violent snowstorm. And I don't know where these snowstorms are learning this type of behavior, in the nether sphere of the weather sphere up there, up there in the Blueniverse, up there in the sky. I don't know where they're learning this. But they're coming down here and doing dirt, a lot of them. And I remember they had a boy in our town. They had one snowstorm when I was growing up. And I believe that it was in 1991. And I was in an all-star basketball league. And I was not a very good basketball player, but I think mentally and emotionally I needed to be part of that squad. And so they put me on it. Because some of these men in our town saw that I needed a little bit extra. I needed a little bit of help. I needed something to boost my spirits. And sometimes you do that. Sometimes you make somebody a part of something just because they need it. It's kind of like Rob Ryan and Rex Ryan, those coaches that are in the NFL. They're no good, but that they might always be heartbroken that their father was such a good defensive coach and that they'll never be able to compete. And so they keep them in the NFL just to kind of boost their spirits and probably keep them from omitting themselves from life, ending up in a holes where me and light-necked Danny will be humming apples at them, trying to hit them with that vegan diet on the way out. But let me get back to what I was saying. So you have this, oh, shoot, man, my brain. Oh, it was wintertime, basketball, and snow hit. So they called a timeout for the whole game. In the middle of the game, they called a timeout. And we're like, because everybody ran out of the game. Nobody's even watching this basketball game anymore in our town. People outside playing in the snow. And I swear they had one icicle, I guess, had formed. And it came down on a boy out there. And he was out there eating snow. One of those kids. Not eating yellow snow. I know they all have that old joke, don't eat the yellow snow. But this boy was just out there, just snacking on any cold water stack that he could get his hands on. And when he would just put that snow in his face, he was filling his mouth. And he couldn't feel his cheeks anymore because he was getting so cold. It was almost like when the snow hit, he became mentally handicapped. And I grew up down there in the mentally handicapped belt. We had a lot of, mentals, they called them then. Kids with autism, kids with a little bit of everything, Some kids, they would say, oh, he got bit by a bat, if they didn't want to, make it real scientific, Because back then it was just more... It didn't matter that, oh, well, he's got, this blah, blah, blah syndrome or this, affliction or this thing or this, or it was just, oh, maybe he got rabies, he couldn't shake it. He got bit by a bat, maybe, Oh, he got hit by something. He got hit by a Trans Am, and he hasn't really been exactly the same person, His studies have gone downhill since then. And that was okay. It was just kind of part of the way things were. It was okay if you had a handicap. Now we all look the same, We go through these processes where we look the same. Everybody got a straight neck. Everybody got a straight neck, and everybody got, white teeth, and everybody has teeth. I remember they had a dude in our town. All his teeth. I don't know if something was going on with him, or he was, he had a lot of his teeth in his pocket, and when he would smile, he would hold his mouth open like he was smiling, but then he would take his teeth out of his pocket and show them to you at the same time. So it was almost like it was still a smile technically, because you had both elements of the smile. You had the open mouth and the shape and the joy in his face, but then you had to look at his hand to see the teeth that were supposed to be in the smile. But I commend that man, because that's hard work. It's easy for us to smile when we got all our teeth right there. It's one action. Open the mouth, feel joy, throw it at somebody directionally, But this man, he had to reach into his pocket when he wanted to smile at somebody. He had to show him the teeth, and he kept them clean. But anyhow, this one boy went out into the snow, and he got hit by an icicle, dude, and his cheeks were already filled. He's out there just, filling up on snow. And maybe they'd been poor, and they were, who knows? I mean, when snow falls for the first time in your life, you have people collecting it. Some people thought it was like a collector's item. You had people, burying stuff in it, people, saving it and bathing water, boiling things in it. You had people doing prayers and all kinds of stuff, and writing prayers out in the snow and all kinds of stuff. You had people just, drawing crosses and getting new tattoos and do-it-yourself tattoos and all that cat shit. You had the activities, you had the joy, because it was excitement. It was something new. It's probably like the first time you're in an earthquake. Sure, you're like, oh, this is scary. And, sure, are the birds okay? Or is the good china has it fallen? But you also got that feeling of, man, what did I just go through? What is Mother Nature? Look at the powers that she has out here. She's out here hogwarting. She's out here, Aziticus matacaticus, she's got her activities, and that's what you felt, the power. But I remember they had an icicle, they had a big icicle, and this boy, it must have fallen off of a tree. I can't remember if it was the tree or the side of the gymnasium, clipped this boy right in like the side of his, kind of where your neck and your head kind of combine each other behind the ear. And man, that kid was never the same. He was never the same after that great weather adventure of 1991, I believe it was. And I was Covington. We were playing against Holy Cross, which was some other basketball team. But what's going on with you guys, man? I try to look at the news. They're still talking about Russia, so I can't look at it anymore. I still can't. It's beyond me, I'm just over it, man. And the truth is, everybody acts like everything's so wrong with the world and with the planet and everything all of a sudden. Let me tell you about my weekend. I live here in Los Angeles, where you got some people out here been bit by the liberal bat. You got some people out of their minds living on an island. They're not even living in reality. Okay, people are afraid to probably leave the state because they might learn what other people's lives are like and other people's existences are actually like. But man, everything was fine this weekend. I worked on a television show for Comedy Central. Out there they have a young fellow, this guy Trevor Moore has a new show on there, and I got to play a homoerotic CrossFit boy. And I think I did fairly well. I hope I brought something to his project. Very funny young man. And I was just happy to be there, to be of service and to be, just part of whatever was going on. So that made me feel pretty good, honestly, to be there and be able to do that. And that'll be coming out, I think, in the spring. I'll let you guys know. And then what else, man? I got invited to the Beverly Hills Hotel pool to hang out with some friends. That sounds fancy to some of you guys. Sounds fancy to me. I didn't go, though. Kept it easy, Spent a little time with this lady. Kept it easy, Kept it easy this weekend. But I'll just tell you this, that everything's fine out here. People are still eating. People are still driving around in Lamborghinis and living their lives. There's still like people rescuing animals out of the trees that don't want to be rescued. I saw a lady in the park the other day saying she's rescuing birds. I'm like, bitch, you are kidnapping animals. These birds came to that tree of their own volition, of their own will. And she out there trying to get these birds, saying they're homeless. I'm like, bitch, these are birds. Okay? So I know some of you, some liberal people, what are you doing? At a certain point, you rescuing animals from nature? Because guess what? Guess what nature's made of? Let me think. I don't know. Animals. So don't be out there taking birds out of trees and saying you're some kind of rescue artist, saying you some damn Amelia Earhart of the aviary universe. Leave birds in trees. Quit with this bullshit, man. Going too far. So it's just, it's batshit out here, man. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, people act on social media like the world is, this and the presidency and this. Really, I think, what have the politicians ever done? Politics is a rich man's game. Let me say that. Okay, I'll agree with you. Maybe at some small town, some state levels, it can be a poor man's game. But politics is a rich man's game. When was the last time we had a politician that wasn't a millionaire? When was the last time, well, I won't say a politician, but a president. When was the last time we had a president that wasn't a millionaire? You got to be disconnected. At that point, how disconnected are you? That's my thing. It's like politics never, I felt like, did much for me, I didn't care who the president was because, I was excited by it at times if I would get to meet the president, but I didn't really care because I didn't feel like he was going to stop by my neighborhood. We used to have somebody used to throw dead animals in our ditch, and we called for about 5 years trying to get him to stop it, and nobody would stop. And they was throwing dead animals out there. I think it was some veterinarian, some bootleg veterinarian. So what I'm saying is, if you're sitting around bitching about politics on any side of the net, why don't you worry about the politics in your own life? That's what we have to do. And look, I find myself getting into it too. You got people out here rescuing birds out of trees. Families of birds being broken up. Why? Because they're in a tree? Bitch, they are birds. So I just don't know what's going on, man. Went out to breakfast today, though. With a buddy of mine. It was good to catch up. And I had French toast, dude. I don't usually eat like that. One just went wild. Just sugar to the face, And I like to do French toast the old-fashioned way. Kind of that Italian style, where you put the syrup in your mouth first, and then you put the French toast in. Some people like to mix it out here in the wild on your plate. I don't do that. To me, that's like getting dressed in public. I like to do it in private in the inside of my mouth. That's how I like to have my French toast, Syrup first, get that hit off that frickin' L cabin, and then drop that FTZ in your man. You know what I'm saying? Then you, you're doing that magic behind closed doors. Other people out here doing their French toast out on their plate, dude. Come on. Don't be a pervert, Get it together, know how to eat French toast. So that's how I feel about that, man. But yeah, it was good to be alive this weekend, man, and I hope it was for you too. I got some cool stuff coming up. Always hit the dates and everything, and I got to remind you guys I'll be in Dallas next weekend. If you got a new friend in Dallas, an old friend, anyone, an ex, a lover, a current, a stepfather, a foster care, somebody that came through your home in foster care years ago, and you forgot about them, send them out to my show. I'll be there at the Addison Improv, August 10th through the 13th. September 6th through the 9th, I believe, I will be in Austin at Cap City Comedy Club. 14th through the 17th of September, I'll be at Cleveland Hilarities. And it looks like we will be getting a date for Vancouver. That'll probably be August 30, September 1st. Excuse me, I just belched or burped. I don't know which one it was. And then I'll be in Huntsville, Alabama, November 16th through the 19th. You can find all of those tickets at theovon.com/tour, TOUR. you are. I'm gonna get to some calls, man. We had a lot of great ones come in. I got to go to the Improv in a little bit and do a comedy set. Man, I got to do 6 comedy sets last night, and that was pretty cool. At one point I was performing in this Volcano, and a Volcano is it's a restaurant of sorts, if you want to call it that. It's a fish house, pretty urban out here. It's kind of more of an urban crowd, which is fine. Just letting you know the environment over there. And they have these pop-up comedy shows. And they have actually pop-up comedy shows everywhere now, I guess, where you can follow a group on Facebook, and it's like a pop-up group. And the next thing you know, they're like, okay, we're having a pop-up this. And it can be a barbecue, comedy show, clothing sale. It could be anything. Childcare. We're having pop-up childcare out here at the mortuary, So you could drop off your dad and drop off little Freddie, and we'll take care of his ass, We'll take care of both of them. Just pick up Freddie in about 4 hours, But they have it's just a surprise business that wouldn't normally be in that location in a certain location. And so they had 2 of them this weekend, last night. One of them was in a backyard of an apartment complex. Regular apartment complex, Some families, some lesbians, some single men. That seemed like kind of the clientele. And then in the backyard, I guess they got permission for somebody to put together a big stage. And next thing you know, there's probably about, I would say maybe 90 people sitting out there just watching comedy, enjoying their own hometown, their own living room refreshments, and just enjoying comedy right there. And that was pretty cool to see, man, just to be a part of that. And then another one was at a Volcano, and that's type of sushi food restaurant. And we did that one as well. That one was a little bit weirder. Kind of some rich people. And rich people sometimes, they're disconnected. They're disconnected from the realities. They think the things you're talking about, they just can't get it sometimes because they're disconnected. Or they're afraid to laugh. It's almost sometimes the elite, sometimes are rich people, sometimes they're afraid to laugh at poor people. It's like they're giving them something, Or when they do laugh, sometimes to me, sometimes it appears like they're doing you a service, Yeah, I'm cool. I'll be okay, But I hit them hard. I said, look, I don't care if you guys laugh. I know this stuff's funny. I'm going to be fine either way. And that's where I'm at with comedy these days, man. I'll do my best to make you laugh because that's my job. But if you think I'm going to sit there and feel bad if you don't or feel a certain way, I'm not doing that shit anymore, man. I do well at my job. I am good at my job. That's what I mean. I'm not saying I'm the most famous comedian. I'm not saying I'm the best comedian, but I will say that I work hard at my job, and I do it well. And if you come out and see that, you'll get a little hit of that. And I think some of this stuff I'm just saying this because I need to say it. I never say this kind of stuff to myself. And sometimes that inner dialogue in me, in my life, the inner things that my brain tells me or the things I say to myself aren't always the most positive. So, and sometimes I don't know where that comes from. I'm still trying to dig into certain parts of my life and my past to know where that comes from. But I know that it's in me that, sometimes, my brain doesn't want to take care of me as much as it should, and it doesn't want to have as much confidence in me as it should, or as I do. So it's it's just just stay aware of that and try to work through it. That's what I'm doing. So I appreciate you guys being here with me in that moment where I just kind of did a little bit of that. All right, I'm going to get to a couple of texts and calls. People hit the hotline, and I want to thank you guys for hitting the hotline. That number is 985-664-9503. I'm going to change the voicemail on it just to give everybody a little bit more information. But the hotline, you can call about anything, question, concern, something going on in your life that maybe you're looking for a young man to relate to. Some things I won't be able to relate to. Some things I have no thoughts or suggestions about. But if it's something that I can share or relate to, I'll do my best to share. And I appreciate you guys sharing. I really, really do. All right, let's hit a couple of calls. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. This is Cody calling from Boulder, Colorado.
That's Cody in Boulder, Colorado. Thank you for calling, Cody. Onward.
Big fan of the show. Love what you do. Think you're the frickin' man. You just have such a unique perspective on life. I love the way you communicate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that. I'm just trying, I'm just trying to stay stay alive. Let's go. Thank you.
Reason I'm calling, I was curious on your thoughts on something. I'm sure you've heard about a bunch. You see it all the time, texting and what people are doing on their phones nowadays. I've been going to Chipotle a bunch.
Oh, wow. Could have been going to Chipotle. And to some people, that's a Mexican restaurant. Some people don't realize that. Some people, that's a Mexican restaurant. When I was growing up, when I went to high school in Mandeville, Louisiana, we got a Taco Bell, and suddenly things got Mexican, and that was a Mexican restaurant for us. Um, and then somebody actually, and this is going to sound a little bit vulgar, but in 1996, somebody pooed in the meat. Service worker there got angry. There was some staff issues, and somebody, did a little bit of a little bit of excretory in the meat there, and they had to shut it down for about a year. I might have went out of business. I don't remember, but that was a tough time for our town. Onward, Cody. Sorry to interrupt you.
Every time I go there, people literally can't help themselves but to look at their phone while they're waiting in line. And it's like 90+% of people, they can't stop themselves. And, I've just never really been a big fan of this whole phone culture and what it's turned into in terms of hanging out with people. Everybody's on their phones all the time. And I just want to hear your thoughts on it. What you think about what's going on in this weird world we've come into.
Sorry. I got some coffee stuck in my throat. Well, yeah, I mean, look, a buddy of mine just said he got text neck. And text neck is some tightening of the muscles and some vertebrae issues you can get from the constant being down, looking down. I think that it definitely makes us dumber over time because we're not, our heads aren't up here. We're not as alert and aware. So our awareness is in time could be affected. I was sitting at a table or something the other day, and some girl said that kids are being born with like indentations in their fingers from where their parents like always holding their cell phone, like their pinky finger has like an indent on it from where the cell phone rests on it. And I thought that girl was out of her fucking mind. But it did make me start to think how many things could be genetic. Like how many, based on us being addicted to our phones. And I'm going to say addicted because the one thing that I have withdrawals from is my phone. If I can't find my phone, I get, you can feel it in your body when you can't find it. And that's withdrawals. That's not like, oh, I just can't find my phone. That's a real thing. When you can't leave home without it, when you can't go, like that's addiction. And it's interesting how it's okay to be addicted to our phone, but it's not okay to be, like addiction's usually bad. But with our phones, it's like we accept it. Like it's okay. Like it's a means to, something. So it's a good question. I worry about it too. And I don't know what the answers are. I don't know if at some point do we start to, lose like our feeling of like peripheral awareness because we're so right here looking at a screen. That would make sense to me. Because if our old screen was our eyes looking out, just the world in front of us, and our new screen is just this little world in our hands, then you would think that our ability to interpret and awareness would manifest or would adjust to adapt to this new screen over time. So yeah, I'm curious. But how long does that kind of stuff take? For a human to genetically adjust, like through like generation to generation? I have no idea. But it makes me scared for sure. Meeting people is old fashioned. If you, look, we go to the fist bump now. I thought about this the other day. Like I always used to scrapbook, bro. I'll be real about that shit, I was the only dude you knew probably in, when I was a freshman in college that was doing steroids and scrapbooking. You know what I'm saying, man? I was out in both games. And if I tell people, oh, I used to scrapbook, people are like, look at this motherfucker, Look at this. What's that? Look at this boy coming in a little bit lavender. He coming in a little bit lavender. But the truth is, Cat Daddy, okay, you're on Instagram now, aren't you? Well, all of a sudden, everybody a scrapbooker. Because that's all Instagram is scrapbooking. How many everybody's a scrapbooker now? So maybe I was progressive. If I think about it like that, maybe I was early to the game. But it's very scary, man. It's very scary to think what's going to happen. Because I know that I'm addicted. I deal with addiction in other parts of my life, or have chosen to look at that, but I notice it with my phone. I notice it. That's a real thing. How do we beat it? Do we beat it? There's no going back. Where it's like we're not going to go back to a time where we don't use our phones. I don't think. I don't think at all. Now, do we start to monitor it if there become serious health risks? Then that could be something that happens. I mean, we're really in an experimental time because we've never had, we're kind of the first generation, at my age, I'm kind of the first generation where, I started using a cell phone when I was 20. We're going to find out what the long-term effects are. So who knows? What if our legs fall off in a couple of months, There's a huge class action lawsuit against AT&T. Can you imagine even just all the wheelchairs trying to show up at the courthouse? Shit could get wild. Let's hit another call right here.
Hey, Theo, what's up? It's Miles. I just wanted to call and thank you for reaching out to me on your video and everything. I thought that was pretty cool.
Thanks for calling, Miles.
I just got sober. I was sober for like a month, and then I relapsed on heroin. But now I'm 2 weeks clean. So, yeah, I just wanted to, say thank you. I listened to your advice and it actually really helps. So, yeah, thanks. And I'll keep watching the podcast. All right. Have a good day.
Appreciate you calling, Miles. Yeah. And look, man, thank you for reaching out and for sharing, what's going on with you, with us. Congratulations on, choosing to look at what's going on in your life and to battle your addiction. I'm sorry to hear about that relapse, but you sound good, man. You sound good on that call for sure. And I know you say you use the word advice, and I'm not trying to correct you or anything, but I'm gonna say I don't really have advice, but I do want to share if I can, But I'm proud of you, dude. It really makes me kind of feel something here, and you say that. So you're welcome. It's tough, dude. It's tough when you find yourself in certain situations where you get to a point for some reason that you feel empty or you feel alone or you feel scared or whatever it is that manifests into you where it causes you to abuse drugs. And then once you start to do that, then the drugs can start to abuse you because they have powers themselves, making, just making us addicted. So I appreciate you reaching out, man. And I hope you'll call in and reach out again, dude. I'd love to maybe do a follow-up with you, and see what's going on, But I really appreciate it, dude. And I wish you the best. You're fighting some battles. That's ballsy, man. You're out there really fighting some stuff, and I don't know if I could do that. But I commend you for calling and sharing your strength because that makes me feel good to hear that, honestly. And that's really what, going to some of these programs is about. It's about, that we get to share and just realize we're not alone dealing with shit. So I got your back, Playboy. You feel me? Thank you for calling, man. Onward.
Hey Theo, it's Nick. I'm from England. I know you bag English people out, but I'm a...
No. That's Nick from England. Thank you for calling, Nick. Look, man, I've worked with some great British people. My issues with the British are that the rest of the world gets stuck dealing with a lot of shit that the British caused. British did a lot of dirtball shit. And the rest of us are still out here dealing with it. I mean, Africa, y'all took almost all the good stuff out of Africa, Y'all put that straw in there like the man says on that There Will Be Blood and drank that dark milkshake, slanking them diamonds and everything up into your mouth. So that's just my tough thing with that, with Britain sometimes. And then we have a lot of British show hosts. America's gotten obsessed, or at least Hollywood has, with putting putting British into a lot of American roles. And I think it's great. But also, I'd like to see somebody that grew up here in some roles. And I think I start to feel angry personally about that because you don't see a lot of Southerners in roles. Every Southerner gets looked at like, oh, there's some fucking worm-eating, fish-strangling idiot. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case. A lot of us are educated. Just because we have a Southern accent doesn't mean we're ignorant. And I think that some of that starts to resonate in me, and it all kind of mixes and flares up. And I know I'm being all over the place here, but just want to tell you a little bit more of my thoughts behind some of that. And The Patriot is my favorite movie. Now, Patriot's a good movie. You haven't seen that? Mel Gibson, big hair, beautiful hair. He got that Michael Landon follicle reach, on his neck, on his hood ornament. And it's a beautiful man, too. If you look into his eyes, that guy, god damn, man. That dude got crystal balls in his face. And so he's a beautiful man. I know he's, he goes off at the mouth sometimes, but a lot of people do. I'm not defending him, but that man got beautiful, and he beat the British in about 2 hours and 10 minutes in that movie, The Patriot. One of my favorite movies. But I do appreciate you calling, and I respect what I respect the British. You guys been out there. You guys been in the game. So onward.
Avid listener. I listen every week.
Thank you.
I'm listening to your podcast. I love them.
Thank you. Love you, brother.
What I was trying to present is having some female issues. So, was married, had a kid, and basically the best sex I ever had in my life was with this woman.
So, saying he was married, he had a child, and the best sex he ever had was with this woman. Okay, onward.
And every woman I'm with since, I can't stop thinking about my ex-wife, But emotionally, we don't get on. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with sex, good-looking women, to emotionally connecting with a woman? That's what I want to ask. Anyway, love your podcast, and hope you respond. Peace.
Nick, I appreciate you calling from across the pond, man. And and I'll say this too: the British were bosses, man. People want to say this and that, and I'm one of those people. I was sitting there just riling in, but if there's another way to look at it, the British were straight up boss hogs. Y'all was freaking throwing bacon and breast milk all around the universe and doing things like you wanted to do at a time when that was the way to do, to be out there conquistadoring, in Game of Thrones and taking people's heads off, and keeping them in special souvenir cases. And y'all were out there doing that kind of stuff. And in that time when it was a battle atmosphere, y'all won. Y'all won. So, but I do appreciate you calling, man. How do I deal with that kind of stuff? Like thinking back on some of the best sex. I'll tell you this, you can get addicted to a certain type of sex you had or some experience you had. I had an early sexual partner and things got straight wild, things got pretty wicked, things you type of see on the internet, that internet sex, I'm talking about that Jungle Book sex, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about tan people jumping up and down on big bears' belly tops while they're floating in the river. I'm talking about the wildcatness, and yeah, you can get addicted to some of that kind of stuff, So I think sometimes it is tough to move on, and if that's the case, you might want to see a sexual therapist about it and talk to him, because there's probably some, there might be more issues behind that. How do I deal with sex these days? Well, I find even sex is something that you can get addicted to if you're not careful. Sex is fun. Sex is something that makes you feel good. Sex is something that, if you get stuck with it right there, then you might not be able to then connect with somebody. Well, here, let me put it like this. Like anything, sex can get something you can be addicted to. But if you're having trouble finding the same type of sex with a new partner, maybe you're not over the old partner yet. That's one thing it could be. Now, for me, I know that I'm over, the previous partner. I was just, the sex was something that was really kind of spectacular. But these days, man, I'm I'm more neurotic. I get some intimacy issues when it comes down to sexual activity, and so I got to battle through some of that. Like, that's the thing, getting older. I think back in the day, we were only supposed to live to probably 18 years old or 26 years old. If you look at Michael Landon times and you look at, the proverbial times back then, I don't even know what proverbial means, but if you look back on that, you'll see that we're not supposed to be alive this long. So when people out here, humping and, inserting dick and everything out here at, 35, 45, 70. My father had me at 70. That dude was throwing dick in 1980 at 70 years old. So there's a lot of stuff behind the dick at that point. A lot of, could be insecurities, anxieties, that sort of thing. But maybe I think sometimes it takes the right person to come along too where you feel comfortable again. So maybe you're kind of waiting for that, Maybe you might have some remorse from the first relationship that you haven't let go of, and maybe some of the sexual memories are the last thing that you hold on to because you're afraid to let go of those, because then I don't know if you're still with your ex-wife, but it sounds like you're not. Then maybe you'll feel like you have nothing unless you hold on to that memory of the sex. I don't know. I don't know if sex is the reason why you guys split up. Maybe if you were outside of, I'm not accusing, but if you were, venturing elsewhere. And then sometimes I think that sex is one thing and that being in love with somebody's another thing. It's really, I was talking to a friend this morning about, he said, man, I can fall in love, but once I fall in love, I just can't have sex. I just am not sexually attracted to a woman. And for me, this goes back to, I think these days a lot of men are looking for mothers. And there's something that happened with our generation where men just were not mothered enough. And so they're looking for mothers when it comes to partners. And then they're not looking for, it's not the sex that attracts them as much anymore. They want that motherhood first from their spouse. And then also now sex is so readily available everywhere. Sex is so, it's like, before you even lay down at night with your wife or girlfriend, you've seen 70 pictures of tits on Instagram or this or that, or there's just sex is everywhere. So we're really oversexed a lot of times, so it's hard to even have as strong sexual feelings. That could be it. Maybe if this was 15 years ago when you fell in love with your wife or whatever, and the sex was great and everything, it was because it was 15 years ago. You had 15 less years of exposure to, the sex that's out there, stuff on the internet, or, people showing their tits at bus stops and everything. I remember a homeless lady, somebody had jumped off a building in New York City, and I walked up and she goes, "Did you see it?" And I'm trying to look over the crowd see a little bit of light, just get a quick glimpse of the body or something, or see if anything hit an awning. And this lady said, "Did you see it?" And I'm like, "What?" And then she just showed me her crotch. This lady's showing her crotch out here, and nobody else saw. People are all just looking. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I wasn't ready to see any crotch at that time. I just wanted to, especially when you're looking to maybe get a glimpse of a body that, just flew off of 56 stories, and then surprise, you see crotch. That could be severely damaging to someone's, sexual equilibrium. So, with intimacy, I don't deal with it super well these days, man. I have a tough time, sometimes figuring that stuff out. And I don't think I'm bizarre in that, because so many of my friends have a tough time too. I think it's something that's super untalked about, but I don't have any shame about it. Like I've taken many lovers in my life, I feel confident in myself, but I still feel, I feel like there's a lot of, sometimes it's a smoothie in my brain when it comes to sex and intimacy and wanting to figure out, how do you make that work in a relationship and in a marriage, and how the present day environment affects all of that, and, the stuff that we're exposed to and pornography, how does it all fold together? It's tough. I know there's a book out there called The Fear of Intimacy, which I heard is really good, that I'm about to read. You know, I don't know what some of your issues could be, man, but I appreciate you calling in about it, and I hope that, me thinking about it was mildly, at least, you know, entertaining for you. Let me see if we can get in one more call. I got to go do a set in a few minutes. Here we go.
Hi, Theo. This is Angela. I love your show. I just wanted to ask you a question about what people say and how it affects us.
Okay, this is Angela. Thank you for calling, Angela. You sound like a lovely lady, and I appreciate it. And what people say and how it affects us. Okay, I'm listening.
When I was about 15, the boy that I had a huge crush on made a comment about my arms being really hairy. And ever since, I've shaved my arms every day. And that was like 15 years ago. So it's crazy because, like, clearly I don't give a shit about him now, but I still shave my arms. I'm just wondering if there's something similar that you have, and then if other people have the same thing. Keep up what you're doing. Love the show. All right. Bye.
Okay, Angela, thanks for calling. That's interesting. So some boy told you had hairy arms. You started shaving your arms, and and you don't even think about the boy anymore, but you're still living the shaved arm life, and that for some reason that really stuck in you. Wow. It's powerful to think about because, I just remember a camp counselor one time at YMCA summer camp saw me coming out of my apartment complex that I lived in, and he made fun of me that day in front of some of the other camp counselors. And before that, I didn't really feel a lot of shame. But after that, I felt so ashamed about where I lived. And since then, I've always had a little bit of shame about my home. It's crazy the things that people say and how they carry on with us forever. Or sometimes they do. It's a good question. I mean, that's a good question, I think, for everybody to ask themselves. Any of the listeners, who are still listening right now this past weekend, what's something that somebody told you, a put down or something that affected the way that you thought of yourself, or something, and how you then changed yourself, or a ritual or something you started that you continue to do. There's all kinds of things for me when I think about it. I remember people telling me I had buttocks like a Down syndrome boy when I was young, and I had a good friend who had Down syndrome. And sometimes I felt pride because we had similar kind of backsides, but ever since then, I do feel sometimes a little bit nervous about it when I'm wearing certain types of clothes. Maybe. Let me think about what else. I have a big nose. I have a wide nose. So I think about that sometimes. People would always, actually people wouldn't always make fun of it, but like around the neighborhood, people would say stuff, Let me think about other things that, I had big ears growing up. And so that made me self-conscious. I used to sleep with like this, like a church tie or a tie, tied around my head, and I'd tie it around my head at night to kind of hold my ears back. And that, that was crazy. But the biggest one for me was that I felt shame about my home, a girl told me that she liked my eyes one time. And I guess I didn't feel a lot of nice comments from women growing up. And so she told me she liked my eyes. So then I started getting addicted to eye drops, I remember. And for years I was addicted to eye drops. I mean, probably 8 years. I had 2 things eye drops on me at all times. And I was constantly, I was probably doing 50 drops a day in each eye. I mean, I had an $8 a day eye drop habit. And that's really unheard of. What else? I don't know. It's interesting. And I'd love to know what some of you guys' are. Maybe we'll pull out right here for the day, man. We'll pull out right here for the day. Hit the hotline. What's something that somebody said to you one time, that affected the way that you thought about yourself, or it created a ritual or something you did, even though you might not even remember who did it anymore, but you still do that. I mean, it's crazy to think that Angela's out there shaving her arms, baby. Man, you must have some real bobcats at the end of your elbows, But you sound like a beautiful person, and I'd let you hug me with them dang beautiful I give them arms a fade. Boy, I bet you got some serious hair gravitas coming out of those things. But you're welcome to hug me with them anytime you want, anytime I see you. And I appreciate you calling. It's interesting to think about. I'm going to think about it too, and I'm going to come back next week and kind of share with you guys. A lot of people are wondering, why didn't I do a Thursday pickup episode, a follow-up? Because I want to start doing that on Thursdays. Well, for one, the studio's not done yet. We had to order some other stuff. I got one new microphone. Spent $500 on this thing, so really excited to have it. It's a big addition. But for two, we ordered some stuff that didn't come in yet, so we couldn't get it done. But I'm trying. I'm still working towards it, and I appreciate you guys' patience. But I booked that thing for Comedy Central, so I had to work. It was that literally got the call at 5 p.m., and the next thing you know, the whole day I'm working on set all day the next day. But I was really happy and feel pretty grateful that that kind of stuff happened. Because I don't book a lot of stuff, but I know when I get there on set, I'm feeling a lot more confident these days, and I'm pulling it off, baby. We're going to do good things, and I appreciate you guys' love and support. So, yeah, hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. I want to thank all of our callers who called in, and I want you to hit me up and let me know, what's your Angela story? What's your thing that hit you? What's your thing that got you? That somebody said that you still do. You still carry out something you do. You put on extra lipstick, or you do your hair a certain way, or, for sure, I remember being young. I was really thin growing up, and that's what got me into using some performance-enhancing drugs. People were just making fun of the way that my body looked, or just calling me skinny. I was so desperate for acceptance from people that when someone didn't accept me at all, it just really, I didn't have any defenses against that because no one ever taught them to me. But I'm an adult now, and now if I'm still living that way, then now it's my fault. It's my fault if I continue to live that way. So now I got to be cognizant of those things, and if they come up, I got to figure out what's going on, why is it going on, and then start to find a solution. And a lot of times that solution is just, sharing it with somebody who can help me figure it out. But I appreciate you guys calling. Appreciate everything. Let's get out of here again with Spencer Jacob Grau. I'll put the link. I think they have a new album out. I'll put the link on the YouTube page. The YouTube will go up, I think, Monday night. And this is Monday morning. Remember, if you want to support Dollar Shave Club, it's dollarshaveclub.com/weekend for $5 for that deal. And also, we're still going to do the Patreon. I had people hit me up about that as well. It's just been hard to do a lot of stuff. We got a lot of cool things going on. I appreciate your love. Appreciate the support. Y'all be good. Thank you for being a part of this past weekend.
Celebrate living, celebrate misery. You know that soon we're
Gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die. I want to thank all of our callers too, man. Talked about Text Neck. Tricky Nick that called in, who's out there battling his addiction, man. We got your back, bud. You can do it, man. Just one day at a time, bud, and find friends, Just find friends. You don't have to do it by yourself, man. It's going to be good. It's going to be good, man. You can do it, You got this, Playboy. All right, I'll talk to you guys next week, man. Be good to yourselves, because I bet you deserve it. I bet you do. Thank you.